So I've come to conclude that there are two different kinds of people in this world. The first kind of people see a comic book and go, oh, that must be a fun story. And the second type of people see a comic book and immediately start to calculate and plot and scheme and try and figure out exactly what the potential graded value of said comic is going to be in future markets. I'm proud to say that I'm actually not really in either of those camps. I really just care about the lore. So there's that. Hello nerds, welcome to the Clips channel. This is a clip, as if the channel name was not specific enough. This clip specifically comes from a show that I do over on the main channel called The Week in Nerddom. We are going to be talking about comic books and books very specifically in this clip. So news from the last week that has to do with everything comic books and books. Generally more on the comic book side because the books side of things is kind of a little bit more slow going when it comes to nerdy content, but we do still cover it. So that being said, I appreciate you joining me. Let's get into the news. So follow-ups and corrections here in Comic Books and Books. Not really anything here to see. I'm working on getting the solicitations into this section. I finally found a source that does them digitally, so it's easier for me to go through them. But this week is not the week that we're putting that in here, apparently, because it was a lot of information to deal with. So there's that. But yeah, continuing on. Let's talk next about trailers. There were no trailers this week for comic books and books because they're books. Sometimes we get comic book trailers. I don't know that I've ever seen a book trailer, but either way, moving on. That puts us into regular ass news, and the first piece is gonna be the big one again, and that is CGC, who are, if you don't know, CGC are the official grading company for comic books. They're the ones that determine the worth for comic books. This is huge for collectors and speculators in the space. It means if you have a comic signed, it's the Image Signature series that they are starting to get into. So if you have a comic signed by one of the Image comic founders, i.e. Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, etc., etc., you now can officially get that graded and authenticated with a fancy new label that you will probably then hermetically seal into a box that means you can't actually read your comic anymore, but that's neither here nor there. This is honestly just kind of CGC printing money for anyone who was smart enough back in the 90s to actually get their comics signed by then lesser known in the realm of comics, very famous, but in the bigger world, lesser known at the time, writers and artists and such. It will validate the authenticity, and in so doing, let's be honest, very likely jack up the price for said comic book. So my suggestion to you here is go dig through your long boxes, go find them in your parents' basement or wherever the hell they are, go dig through your long boxes, find that issue of Spawn #1 that you got signed back at Comic-Con in the 90s and send it in, see what it's worth, because that very well could be your new retirement plan. Speaking of solicitations, there is a lot there. I will link to a place that you can go check them out if you care. We have a bunch of awesome stuff coming from Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, and IDW. Start adjusting your pull lists. Again, I will try and publish links in the comment or in the description of this video or episode rather. I will put that down in the description so you can go start adjusting your pull list. If you're looking for something to do right now, there is a metric ton of new science fiction, fantasy, and horror books that dropped in September, so I will drop a link to that list as well. Over 100 titles will have hit the shelves by the end of this month, so good luck finding something on that list that you want to start with, because there's going to be a lot of bangers on there. I am absolutely sure of it. But that brings us to our suggestion for the week. Suggestion this week is And a little bit of an unexpected one, but I've kind of started growing on this one, or it's been growing on me. Either way, it's a carbuncle. We have Absolute Batman. For fans of The Dark Knight, Absolute Batman is an interesting new interpretation of said Dark Knight. Comes from writer Scott Snyder, artist Nick Dragotta. Colors are by Frank Martin and lettering by Clayton Cowles. This is the kind of book that you don't just read, you experience, because it is a dramatic shift away from what you know. There is no millions of dollars, there is no Alfred. This is just a crazy man in a suit fighting crime, and it's kind of interesting. So if you are a fan of Scott Snyder, like I am, if you can, sometimes he's a little divisive, but I feel like he's one of the better ones on the divisive side of things. If you dig that, then absolutely Absolute Batman is the recommendation. Go check it out. Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of the sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.